had been dead for more than a decade. No one seemed to know what had happened to Holmes's collection in the interim, and numerous inquiries failed to turn up any information on its whereabouts. But when Gross mentioned former Private First Class Wiley Sloman, then living in Harlingen in the lower Rio Grande Valley, my excitement level soared. Here was just what I'd been searching for, an ordinary young Marine with a truly extraordinary story. Here was a virtually unknown saga of personal courage and nail-biting drama that could form the catalyst for a broader look at the Wake Islanders' valiant stand against impossible odds, the flawed command decisions that sealed their fate, and the forced surrender that none of them wanted. A crewman on a 5-inch battery that sank the first major Japanese warship in the Pacific, Sloman had been shot through the head and left for dead on the battlefield. He lay there for 3 days, until he was found clinging to life by a burial detail collecting enemy corpses. As soon as I heard Sloman's story from his own lips, I knew what the title of my Wake Island book should be: Given Up for Dead. In late 1941 and early 1942, the battle for Wake was viewed as an event of immense historical import, but in later years it faded into an obscure footnote on the Pacific War. In this book, dozens of young Americans from every corner of the country and every type of background bring their epic struggle back to life. Day by day and hour by hour, they describe how they endured, adjusted, fought on, and survived in circumstances as horrific as any nightmare. Many of them were little more than boys when they fought for their lives and their nation's honor in America's first real battle of World War II. But they were fully ready to die at their guns, and in fact, most were sad or angry that they weren't given that right. Now they're old men, grateful for their lives, but still gripped by conflicting feelings, still harboring a sense of regret that they weren't allowed to choose death above the dishonor of surrender. For the most part, other Wake Island books have been broad overviews by military commanders or professional historians. Given Up for Dead, on the other hand, places one down in the sweat, smoke, and grime of foxholes and gun pits, where bullets whine, bombs explode, coral splinters fly, blood spurts, rats bite, men scream, and death is never more than inches away. The saga of Wake is an old story, in many cases an overlooked or never heard story, but one you aren't soon likely to forget. I believe the men who defended Wake Island 60-plus years ago merit a permanent spot in our national consciousness, along with the heroes of Bunker Hill, the Alamo, Gettysburg, San Juan Hill, and the Argonne Forest. I've never met a group of men that I admired more. If this book can help them achieve the respect and remembrance they deserve from present and future generations of Americans, I could ask for nothing else. Many people helped make this great story a reality. Without Frank Gross's contacts and his constant willingness to solve puzzles and provide information, I'd never have gotten to first base. I lost count of the hours I spent with Wiley Sloman, both in person and on the phone. When he died suddenly, just as the manuscript was nearing completion, I lost not only an invaluable source, but a true friend as well. John Johnson, Walter Boscher, Bright Godbold, Artie Stocks, Jack Hearn, Robert Borkin, Ralph Holowinski, Tom Kennedy, Jack Skaggs, Clifton Sanders, Mackie Wheeler, Glenn Tripp, John Kinney, Robert Hanna, David Cleaver, Richard Gilbert, Ernest Rogers, and many other Wake Islanders and their relatives graciously shared their time and personal recollections with me. June Fabian, Secretary-Treasurer of the Survivors of Wake, Guam, and Cavite Incorporated, was particularly helpful and hospitable before and during my trip to Boise to interview civilian survivors. While I was there, in addition to giving me a super interview, John Rogge lent me several priceless documents to make copies. Glenn Newell, Chalice Loveland, Ed Doyle, J.J. Coker, and Glenn Walden were other civilians who set aside time for lengthy interviews. Career Marine Ed Bourne provided a wealth of information, including contact information for Dr. Shigeyoshi Ozeki, who came ashore with the Japanese landing force and later helped save the lives of wounded Americans.